Better Together podcast.
Welcome to the Better Together podcast from the Fuquay-Varina Chamber of Commerce. We are recording today from the Dashmore Conference Room and Studio, sponsored by Rescued Wood Rehab. The Better Together podcast highlights local businesses each week as the Fuquay-Varina Chamber of Commerce continues to promote an amazing business community. I'm Brad Marshall from Greater Culture CrossFit, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Marni Woodward from Rescued Wood Rehab. Marty, how are you doing?
Brad, I am doing fantastic. I hope you are as well.
Doing well. We're enjoying the spring weather. Excited about our guest that we've got on for today.
Yeah, we're going to get through that. Need a little more rain once in a while. But I'm super excited about our guest today. Today we have Marni Butchkoski.
Yeah.
Marni Butchkoski from Art by Marni. B. By
Art
Art by Marni B. You gotta
keep it easy.
There's other Marnis out there.
There's other Marnis, but
not,
you're
yes.
the Marni B. Art
yes,
by Marni
yes.
B. So, Marty, tell us about your art business.
Oof, it's a heavy question. Thank you so much for having me.
Close right in there. I know you.
All right, it's better.
You're perfect.
Okay. So tell you about my business. Well, I am the owner and artist behind Art by Marni B. I formed the actual business in 2021. I've been painting for over 25 years. So I grew up as an artist, training since I was young. I went to high school and got my undergrad in painting. And then I moved towards social work. I actually became a social worker as my career, and I was working inpatient psych for a while. And kind of the business just happened to me. I was never talking about it like, one day I'm going to own my own business. I'm going to be a full-time artist. I'm going to make commission art and make a living from it. It was never actually in my brain. Like, I couldn't even conceptualize something like that happening. And so I was a social worker, and I had a career, and it was solid, and kids and family, everything was business as usual, really. And art always had played a part in my life. I was always using my artist side of the brain, but I wasn't practicing or developing or creating, really. In 2020, very, very suddenly, I had a lot of life changes and sudden loss and tragedy. My oldest brother, Mark, so he was an avid surfer, and he was great and surfing, and on Wednesday everything was fine, and by Friday he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And for us as a family, this was huge, and a lot was going on during that time, 2020. And I was working in the hospital, inpatient psych, during COVID times, and a lot of unknown, and he was hospitalized and very quickly had passed away. And what happened at that point in my life, and it's just an important part of the formation of my business, because I was working 8 to 4, early care, aftercare for my little ones, and just this continuous cycle. And when life hit me so hard, so unexpectedly, one, I turned to art. I started drawing again just because I didn't know what else to do. My life has always been defined by art and music. And so it was music on, pencil in my hand, and that was what got me back into creating. But my brother was a surfer, and we were at the beach a lot during this time, and we were doing memorials, and I was collecting shells for my family, for memory jars and everything, and just one thing led to another, and I had a good idea to make something for a friend's birthday out of a shell. And I looked it up online. I was like, I wonder if anybody's ever done this before. And anyone listening, definitely check out my page and stuff, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And it appeared that nobody really had. So I made it for a friend, and someone else saw it. Oh, can you make me one? Can you make me one? And then all of a sudden, I'm working hospital hours, and I'm painting and creating seashells until 2, 3 in the morning. And I did that for a couple months, And I'm at the beach during the winter getting shells. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shells, shipping them all over the country. And soon I was like, I can't live like this anymore. And yeah, it was just like this whole shell. It was just so crazy at the time and during, grief and everything that was happening in the world. And I'm, taking over my kids' playroom, painting shells. And I ended up walking away from my career, and I formed the business, and I was painting, and then soon it was like, oh, can you do a mural in this salon or at the restaurant? And I had done that through college. I was painting portrait art. I was a portrait artist through high school and college. That's how I was trained, and so it really just took on a whole life of its own. And I was picked up by Hulu. ABC had this series called Localish, and Localish picked me up, and it went nationwide. And so the story just kind of blew up, and I wasn't expecting it, and I wasn't hoping or thinking that anything like that would happen. And everybody around me was just so supportive. And I walked away from my career and haven't looked back since. And it's just been evolving and growing and evolving, and it's been really quite the journey so far.
So this wasn't, you weren't really inspired to open a business. The business kind of just happened.
Right.
Just happened. So
right.
As you kind of started this business, I know you relocated to Fuquay-Varina
yes.
about, 6 months ago?
6 months ago, yes.
And obviously, starting a new business, you faced some challenges.
Right.
Can you share with us, one or two of those challenges that you faced in the beginning?
Sure. I mean, there's been so many beginnings. I mean, you just referenced one of them. Moving here after an established business, and I'm a standalone. I'm the artist. I am doing it all, and small in a way, but doing big things in my own perspective. I had my early on beginning, which was really like time management and risk taking and tons of networking. I mean, the friends that I've formed that have carried me and my family support, everything early on had gotten me to where I was. And then to make a decision that I'm going to open up a new chapter and really start in some ways fresh, but in some ways just continue. I knew what I needed to do, but to walk into a room and not know anybody, to get the trust of customers, clients, business owners of that I know what I'm doing is scary, of course, but I definitely have pockets full of tools, and I think that there's something to say about just being an individual with a certain interest and character. There's just so much talent, and when I'm running a business that's based on talent, I have to always remember it's not talent alone. It's the ability to relate to people, to put myself out there, to connect, to take the risks and see how it goes, really.
And so kind of everything you do is unique, right? I mean, there's not just... Or do you,
yes
do you
and
have
no,
some
yes and no.
things that you do over and over?
It's a good question.
Putting it in a copier, right? You can't copy it, but
no.
Are there some things that like, oh, this is a winner, this piece, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, so for me, surfaces play a really big part in what I paint. That's what continuously is changing. So, I mean, the shells were a big thing, but I'm not looked at as the shell girl anymore. And early on, it was like, oh, Marni, like, she does shells. That's not the case at all, actually. It's moved so much further than that. But, I mean, I'm painting shoes. That's a pretty popular one. Nikes, custom shoes. And that's really not, like, my thing, necessarily. I do commissioned canvases. I paint on wood. I just did hockey pucks for Coach Gift, local ice hockey teams. I've done baseball, tennis rackets. I've done huge commercial murals, residential murals, logos, flowers, sunsets. The thing about me, I think, is I am a custom commissioned artist. I don't have necessarily a style, for my work, my business, but I do for my fine art collection. So when I have the reason or the time to create for my own gallery collection, you can see that and say, that's an art by Marni B. But if I were to come to your business and you say, I really want my logo and I want it to look kind of graffiti, but I want also to capture the sky and whatever it is, that's what I can do. I can collaborate with my clients to have their vision come alive even if they don't have one yet.
It's a very collaborative process, and that helped, I think, give us an idea of some of the different ways in which you can help customers with some of the products or ways that you work with them. So I'd be curious, when somebody reaches out to you, can you kind of walk us through what does that process look like of going from maybe idea to finished product that somebody's able to take home?
Yeah, I mean, what I love is that when people approach me, everyone is at their own creative level of what they want. Sometimes they have no idea, they just want something, and sometimes they know exactly what they want. Luckily, I've spent a lot of time and some money on my website, which took years to decide on. At first, it was friends just helping me develop my website, and then it came to a point where I was like, I need to be able to share my Instagram and Facebook, but also my website, because who knows how long that social media would be reliable in those ways, to have that backup and have it really capture me. So I really invested the time into that. And so I'm able to share that, and I broke it down into steps where what is it that you're looking for? What kind of surface? What's your time frame on it? I don't typically get too into budgeting. I do like to have that idea because a lot of people don't realize when it comes to paint that you could spend a couple $100 on paint alone if you're painting something very large. And sometimes scale versus the content of what's being created is a factor. But I would really have a conversation, and that's what makes it very personal, my business. I'm not able to utilize other channels of like Etsy or just a place where you can just enter in what you want, and I really get to know who I'm working with and what is it that you're looking for, what are the factors involved in that, and helping them. And then I'll give digital type sketches. I call them sketches, where I'll layer up some images and show them one or two, and then I'll know, okay, that's absolutely not what you want. Now I know to go into a different direction, or we're getting somewhere. And it's so individualized. Yeah.
I love the process, and I can see how your experiences in healthcare probably come through, because now you're having this conversation and you're working with each other and trying to figure out and uncover like what they want and figuring out how you can deliver that. So over those last 5 years or so, what are some of the unique aspects you would say to your business, or some of the things that you find really enjoyable as you get to work with people?
Oh, I have met so many people. One of the greatest blessings is people coming back for more. And that's a big one. I've just learned so much and really forming relationships. And I think that a big part for me is human experience. We all have a story. We all have joy and sadness, and something that I've really prided myself is being able to relate to people, and there's always a solution. Like, we'll always get there.
Yeah. I love that, the confidence and the belief in that of like, hey, let's share this experience, good, bad, whatever it is. There's a story that's going to help us to hopefully bring to life some of these ideas or unique aspects. And you mentioned how important it is to get into the community. So what are some of the ways either that you love to get involved in the community, or how you've gone about meeting people and things like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I could talk about that forever. It's been a really beautiful experience. I came here and I had some friends, and my relationship, and I had nothing with my business, nothing. So I came, and before I moved here, I had followed all the, on Instagram and Facebook, and really looked about the chamber and decided, like, is this where I want to be? Just driving through town, I knew it right away, and everything that's growing, and then also the historical aspects. And there's a very warm feeling here that you don't get everywhere. I knew right away to find the chamber. I knew to see about any other art-centered groups and networking groups, women. So I joined a lot of Facebook pages, and then I just reached out right away. I mean, I came in probably the first week that I moved here and met with the chamber, and then then I guess what happened was I had joined and they shared, and some people reached out, and then I connected with some new businesses, and I met for coffee, and that's how then I found the Downtown Association and joined the art, committee, but also just walked my butt right in, and I was like, hey, like, I'm Marni, I'm brand new here. I mean, I didn't even unpack, and we just were chatting and got along, and then that's when I got involved in a live painting event at the Blues and Brews, and that was really exciting, and in the meantime also doing a couple murals, and it's just like it's just a web, and it's such a small world, because moving here, I've crossed paths with people that I didn't even know lived here, that knew, like, my brother, and that worked with him, 20 years ago, that live here. And someone who I'd become super close with who grew up down the street from where my mom lives in New York, and it's just, it's a really small world, but just showing up, going to the events, having my favorite coffee spots. If I have a spare hour, I'm going to go sit at track. I'm going to grab an ice cream at the I can't, Fat Cat and Pints and Scoop, like, just, there's so many.
Again with the Fat Cat.
Well,
he comes up every time.
Well, he was my first mural, and actually met him through my boyfriend, who delivers for FedEx Freight and delivered the cooler. So it actually wasn't even from a connection in town. So just how that happens
it's another connection.
It's really nice. Yeah.
It's funny. So all of these connections, that's one of those big lessons you learned in your business, right? Is that you've got to have those connections, because that's what makes the difference in it.
Mm-hmm. You always have to know a guy.
Is there any other lesson that you've learned beyond that you'd say, like, oh, this is a key for me in my business?
I think really working hard on getting rid of this competitive mindset. And I have been able to get rid of that pretty early on. There's just so much talent. There's so much knowledge. There's so many people and businesses, and everybody has a place. Mm-hmm. So being able to work with other artists, being able to work with other business owners, and just offer and take, and just this constant pull and push of working together.
That collaboration is huge, right?
And
the art center here in town. I mean, there's so many great folks who are doing projects. Somebody might have a skill of working with kids, and then somebody has a skill of they really like to do murals, and then somebody else is chalk art. There's all kinds of different people out there, doing different things.
And knowing my lane, because my lane is very different than the standard artist. I'm not just a muralist. I'm not just a portrait artist. I'm not just any of those things. I can paint anything.
Yeah.
But I won't paint every and anything. If it's not for me, I know somebody that I can point them in the right direction for.
Yeah. So someone who's an aspiring artist and wants to start their own business and do kind of what you're doing, what advice would you?
I would say you are who you hang out with. Surround yourself with positive people that have what you want, that you look up to and that you can learn from. And also not to force, but to set goals, big ones, little ones, and that it's possible. Like, really, anything is possible. The more you plan, the more that things don't happen the way that you plan them.
Right. Yeah.
But to set the goal and to have the vision. One of my goals from not too long ago was, like, I want to be able to travel, and I want to do more than one tight area. And it's like, I am still working jobs in New York. I'm going to Wilmington next weekend to paint, and I can schedule everything in and an expanded, resume.
So do you have any, I know you've got some upcoming projects here in Fuquay-Varina.
I do.
We talked about that before we got started. Mm-hmm. But there's probably a couple of them you want to mention. What do you got going on here in Fuquay-Varina?
I'm so excited. I'll probably focus on the most current upcoming. So I am one of the artists for In Plein Air. I'm so excited, and it's such a full circle for me, because before I decided to move here, In Plein Air was happening, and I was like, oh, I can get into this. This is so cool. So I am going to be doing mixed media, which my fine art collection is, I'm hoping to really get it up and seen around. That's definitely a goal that I'll just put out into the air, is getting my art out of my great room walls and into different walls. But I do use a lot of mixed elements into my stuff. So that was out there in, I guess, conversation of, oh, maybe Marni can be the one for this task. So I'm going to be doing mixed media, and it is a very special project. I'm going to give a little glimpse into it, because it's going to be April 10th and 11th, and then there's a huge event in town, which hopefully everybody who doesn't know about it will look into it, but they do have tickets for that, and it will be where all the artists have their art on display, and it will be like voting and auctions, and it's very cool. But what I'm doing is going to be focusing on the, right over here, we could probably hear the machines happening, where the gold leaf used to be. So it was the antique shop for a very long time, and there's just a lot of history there. And I was asked to somehow create a piece of art that captures the original building. So you have the Mitchell building, and this was specifically Gold Leaf restaurant. And so I am going to build my canvas out of all sorts of stuff that I've collected. I've been visiting the site fairly often just to see what I can find. I found some really, really cool stuff, and I've been kind of sharing a little bit of it here and there, but I'm going to be building this really historical canvas in a way, and I'll be painting onto that and using a lot of the materials very outside of my comfort zone, but using things that I know and have learned too, but reaching out and really collaborating with so many other people, asking about, will this work? How do I do this? How can I connect this piece to that piece and make it last and not be too heavy that I can't tilt it myself? So by April 10th, it will be built and ready to be painted, and then by the 11th, it will be done. So I'm excited about it. Yeah.
It's a really cool, awesome upcoming event that highly recommend people get a chance to check out and support not just you, but all the fantastic artists who are going to be on display for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just the newbie. There's the artists that will be part are unbelievable. I think there's 7 returning artists that had won like the first place, and then there's just, like, I know I said it so much, there's so much talent here. Yeah. It's really amazing.
Yeah, and you mentioned already how much you love to frequent some of the local spots and great ice cream spots, and so we always love to hear from our guests what are some of their favorite spots around town. So having been settled now for just a little bit, what are some of those spots that you find yourself frequenting, or some of your favorite local spots?
Yes, okay, so, well, before I moved here, me and my daughters, we did do an ice cream tour. I think we've tried every single ice cream shop within 5, maybe even 10 miles from here. So let's see, I'll kind of walk you through some of my go-tos. I will definitely hit up Track Record, and they have very good coffee. Love it there. Let's see, there's so many. I mean, Aviator, live music, Wings, definitely have hung out there quite a bit. Fat Cat, Pints. There's too many. There's so many good spots.
Yeah.
Mason Jar.
Yeah. Yeah, and all those in the different downtown areas, so they're super accessible.
Yes,
awesome
I just tried the new deli.
Yeah,
it's good.
The New York deli.
New York deli. Yes, I just went there a few days ago, and yeah, I mean there's a lot over there. It's hard to even say.
I know it's going to take you more than 6 months to get a chance to sample all of them, but there are just so many great places.
They really are, and we'll just like walk the streets, me and my girls. Yeah, there's always something to do. I mean, Poppy Tales now, they just opened the virtual alley.
Yep. Yeah, there's just a lot of great stuff that's been established, and also the new ones moving in, which are fantastic.
CrossFit place
Might have to check that one out sooner or later. That's just a little bit further up the street.
Right. But I think it's in Fuquay.
Yeah. But we also love to, share some of the advice and things that you've learned. So over those last 6 years, I love the piece of advice you had for entrepreneurs around like who you surround yourself with is really important. What's the best business advice that you'd say you've received that maybe helped change the trajectory of where your business went?
I think believing your business is really important. Like, depending, of course, on what you're doing, it's crossing over that hobby or I just like doing this to an actual business. Letting my loved ones pay for products, taking the money. Like, let's not forget that a business has a purpose, and it's longevity and really treating it that way, and also protecting yourself and seeing, like, do I need to get an LLC? Do I have to file for sales tax? Doing the accounting, all that stuff I hate, like deeply hate. But what is it that I'm doing, and how do I do it? What do I want? How do I get it? All of those things, and treating it like a business.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Important.
Yeah. Something you love doing, maybe start making a few bucks for it, but now it's like, okay, I got to make that shift of everything else that comes along with that, of establishing the business, the accounting, the good, bad, all of it. But believing in yourself is one of those foundational pieces. Mm-hmm. And so you've shared so many fantastic highlights around your business. Is there any surprising facts or something that maybe people aren't aware of when they start working with you or interacting with you that you think is either unique or interesting?
Surprising fact. Well, I'm obsessed with the Beatles, like beyond obsessed with the Beatles.
Have you done a lot of artwork about the Beatles?
Tons of
you
artwork
have?
About
Really?
the Beatles.
Okay.
Tons. The Beatles, Grateful Dead, those you'll see a lot of artwork with, but the Beatles are a big one.
Yeah.
Yes, so you'll definitely see a lot of underlining messages with the Beatles. I do a ton of tribute type pieces, which is why this In Plain Air actually ends up fitting me well, because it does feel very much like a tribute, and it falls into that. But my tribute collection goes very deep into, not only my brother, but music and nature. But yeah, I mean, I have like a full portrait of the Beatles on my back, so it doesn't surprise everybody, but full tattoo of the Beatles, artwork of the Beatles. I just find that they are the bottom bucket of all music that ever happened past their creation. So I get pretty passionate about that. But I mean, music in general, I'm really big into music. I love tennis. I have 2 golden doodles. I don't know, I mean...
Well, so far those have all surprised me.
Do I not look like a golden doodle type?
No, not necessarily that, but I love that the full back portrait.
Oh,
that's
sure,
full
when
of commitment.
Clip out, you'll
yeah.
And it's so funny because I get into it with people sometimes because they'll be like, "You're a little young to like the Beatles," and I'm like, "You're a little closed-minded to not understand the Beatles." But I'll say Beatles, it's Rolling Stones. I don't know what you're talking about. So I like to have some fun with people, but yeah, I mean, I just feel like it's part of who I am. Yeah. Most people do know. I mean, it's revealed very quickly, so it's not the biggest surprise. Like, if you talk to me for more than 5 seconds, you'll realize that I
love it. I love it. That's fantastic.
I gotta say,
I thought that you would have already known.
I didn't, but we'll talk about that at some point, I'm sure. So, Marni, where can listeners find Art by Marni B? How do we find your website? What's that?
Yes, so my website is artbymarnib.com, and I also really, I mean, the biggest compliment and thing you can do is follow any businesses. I really do believe that, like hitting the follow button on social media makes a big difference, and especially how confusing and complicated things are in that realm. It's Art by Marni B, so it's pretty straightforward. ARTBYMARNIB, and that's on Facebook and Instagram. And definitely, reach out and follow and comment and ask any questions. I'm just, even whoever listened this long, it's just really so special. So I appreciate it.
It's been awesome having you on the podcast. And so, what's your favorite part of being part of the Chamber of Commerce here in Fuquay-Varina?
I mean, just something like this, being able to sit with two other business owners who, we've been acquainted, just met, and be able to have a conversation so freely and naturally is amazing. The people I've met, I'm really proud to say I'm a chamber member, and I can always do more, and I will, and I'm never going to do enough or be there enough, and there's always room to do more. And I'm hoping now that I'm settling in, I've only been here 6 months, and it feels like longer sometimes, and then it doesn't, but being able to continue to branch out. And the second I came into this room when I first toured the building, I was like, I'm going to sit here and talk in this fancy microphone and feel really important, but it's amazing.
Yeah, this has been a great conversation. So to our listeners out there, this has been a fantastic conversation.
Thank you.
With Marni, by Art by Marni B, and check her out here in Fuquay-Varina, and you will see and hear her around, because she's around.
Especially with only having been here for 6 months and all these upcoming events and opportunities, it's not going to be hard to find some of the fantastic artwork that you've done.
Thank you.
Well, thank you also to our listeners out there. So join us each week on the Better Together podcast from the Fuquay-Varina Chamber of Commerce as we continue to highlight great local artists, businesses, and folks in the community. So from the Dashmore Conference Room and Studio, sponsored by Rescued Wood Rehab, I'm Brad.
And I am Marty.
And we are Better Together.
We're better together. It's a weekly podcast. We're better together. You should know that there's more in the dash. We're better together. Fuquay-Varina Chamber of Commerce. We're better together podcast.